So on one hand, of course, there's the technical skills. If you're a software developer, a front-end developer, you need to, be good at that. If you're a digital marketer, you need to be good at that. But that being said, what we've encountered the most is people do have those skills. Of course, there are degrees, but for the most part, that's not what's most lacking.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Remote Advantage. Today I'm really excited because we have a really special guest from one of the biggest success stories in the remote work world in Latin America, Workana. For anyone who doesn't know, Workana is the leading freelance marketplace in the region, connecting thousands of companies with top talent across Latam. They've grown so much over the past few years, adapting to how people in our region want to work and constantly adding new services for both people and the businesses that hire. So joining us today is Alejandro, the CMO of Workana, who is going to share a little bit of their journey, how it all started, and how the market has evolved, and what's next for the future of remote working in Latin America. Welcome, Alejo.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. Really happy and excited to be here.
Amazing. So I know the idea of these podcasts is just to have 20 minutes or 20 to 25 minutes. So the idea is to have all the information, but kind of fast. So let's start. The first question is, for those who don't know, how did Workana start?
Well, we got started in 2012. So it's been quite some time already. And with an idea of changing the world of work, changing how people work within a business context, of course, because this arose from a frustration and saying, hey, does it really make sense for us to wear a tie, spend an hour and a half on a train ride commuting to an office, and then send emails to people somewhere else in the country or in the city, or a video call? So the world of work needed some shaking. And back then, I mean, after the pandemic, of course, it all changed. But back then in 2012, saying, yeah, we promote remote work and we work remotely. We do have an office, but not everybody comes. And those who do come do not come every day. Was quite odd and challenging. Yeah. But here we are.
Amazing. You guys had a huge vision before anyone else. So I think that is so cool. You just said a little bit what was your vision, but how has it evolved over time?
Well, in the first stage of Workana, we were exclusively a freelancing platform. So that means we would connect a business with a freelancer to conduct, to perform or work on a project that usually, is quite time bound. It's a few days project, a few weeks project, at most, maybe a month or two. But definitely as a freelancer. So someone that comes in, they have a certain skill set that my business lacks. They work on this and then they are out, right? And that, of course, still is a major aspect of our business. But we evolved into a remote work ecosystem across all of the Americas. So yes, we do still connect businesses with freelancers. But now and for a few years now, we also connect businesses with full-timers. Still remote, still benefiting from the larger pool of talent you get access to when you are open to working remotely. But full-timers, so then besides freelancers, we can now provide a business with teams working full-time for, especially technology teams, working full-time for a certain business for a longer period of time, say 5 software developers working for 1 year for a single client. And on top of that, there's also a third leg to our ecosystem, which provides services to the talents. So we provide courses, mentorships, support, community to ensure their career development keeps on going, even though they are working remotely, even though in the freelancing side of things case, working as contractors or as contractors in all cases, but even if they are within a single team, they keep on developing their careers. So this ecosystem provides far richer services than the freelancing marketplace that we were originally.
Amazing. What have you seen that has been the skill that people in Latin America lack the most to be able to be more fit to work in these remote, normally they work like in English for a international company. So what do you think is the most important skill that they need today?
So on one hand, of course, there's the technical skills. If you're a software developer, a front-end developer, you need to, be good at that. If you're a digital marketer, you need to be good at that. But that being said, what we've encountered the most is people do have those skills. Of course, there are degrees, but for the most part, that's not what's most lacking. What we are seeing and have seen and keep on seeing is that, especially when working remotely, what people lack are skills for time management, managing their own time throughout the day. It's one thing to know, okay, I'll be in the office from 9 to 6. So, of course, I'm expected to work roughly from 9 to 6, and that's that, right? But when you're at home and have a far larger control over your schedule, being good at managing that schedule becomes a necessary skill. So time management, especially one's own time, is key. And then also team working and negotiation. Again, if you go every day to an office, as traditionally happened with all jobs, you're there. You have a better understanding of the nuances of the relationships of what's happening. If you're at home, you don't have that, and then you need to develop skills to still have access to those nuances, to understand some of the dynamics within a team, to understand the reality of a certain business, and be able to add value from that understanding. So I would summarize this in those two skills: time management and what could be labeled as team relationships in a remote setting. I think that's challenging and really useful.
And with what you've seen and with your experience, how do you, talking to the businesses, how do you help them, or what can you tell them about those two specific points to actually keep their people, which is the most important asset in any business, happy, that they work in not maybe the hours because it's not by hours, but actually keep them super motivated and have like that relationship without really having the relationship face to face?
Fantastic. So since 2012, we've been both promoting remote work and breathing those values as well, right? And we've tested a variety of methodologies, of frameworks, of approaches. We've failed with many of them. We committed quite a number of mistakes, but out of those mistakes and failures arose some valuable experiences, learnings, and we've been condensing all of those learnings into a framework. So we have our own framework it's called Work Ops, to achieve precisely what you are mentioning, which is, hey, how do we work in a team setting, everybody going in the same direction, everybody understanding what we try to achieve and bringing their best, because they understand that also means their own career growth. How do we achieve that in a remote setting? So summarizing heavily, there's 3 pillars. So number 1, clarity. People, both remotely and if they are coming to the office, need to understand the purpose of the business, of the team, and the expectations of their role. It's something that needs to be discussed and something that needs to be laid down in paper, or digitally if you want, of course, but in writing. That clarity will pave the way to far better for collaboration. Number two, the sync moments, those meetings, even if virtual, but those moments in which we are chatting or in a virtual meeting need to have a purpose. Why are we meeting, and why everyone, each of the people who's here, why are they here? So that clarity is also key, and it needs to be a decision, not just because we meet because it's the default, but rather deciding on why we meet and why you're here, when I'm here. And number three, a framework for decision making. So we are making this decision, we are taking this course of action because we've identified this problem and we've defined this solution as the most impactful and easier to implement. So all of this needs to be in writing so it can be shared, discussed, and agreed upon. That context is key for remote collaborators to be able to bring their best and move the business forward.
That's amazing. You said that you also help businesses today not only hire freelancers, but also full-time contractors, correct?
Correct.
And within the services that you guys have, you also hire them directly through Workana. So they work for, let's say, business A, correct?
Right. So Workana is the middleman in this relationship. We
Yeah.
handle payment processing, for example, and so the business gets a single invoice from Workana, which is helpful instead of having to deal with
A lot of
independent
different.
contractors spread throughout the region, right? Yeah.
Okay. And with that framework that you just told us, you guys also help the company because I think that is something not missing, but I think it's something that we need to work on so people feel that relationship apart, but that relationship with the company.
Oh,
I think,
definitely. And there's two sides to this. On one hand, as I was mentioning, our ecosystem has three legs: freelancing, staffing, and education for the talents. So that education side of things is where we work with the talents to develop these kinds of skills and frameworks to be able to work remotely effectively. And then we support our clients through a variety of workshops and contents. We have a YouTube channel targeting specifically clients or potential clients, businesses basically interested in these frameworks and methodologies for being able to work remotely effectively, and in a time where AI is causing such a disruption to like everything. I feel that now more than ever, having clarity and some methodologies to rely on to be able to be an effective leader is key.
that I'm gonna put in the link down on your YouTube channel so companies can go and
Thank you.
learn about you
Would
guys.
love that. Yeah.
Because I think that is something that companies need to learn. Moving on a little bit. You have been in this since 2012, which was super rare in that moment. How has the landscape in LATAM changed in the past, we are right, 13 years since you guys started?
Well, number one, and this is not just LATAM, with the pandemic, the whole world understood that working remotely is possible, and not only possible, but can be quite beneficial to a business. Because yes, these new challenges arise. You need to be able to lead a team that you do not see every day at the office. And I will never deny that that is a challenge. It is a challenge. But at the same time, you get access to a pool of talent that's 100x bigger than it would be otherwise. If you have an office in the center of Buenos Aires, where I'm from, or Medellin, or whatever city in whatever part of the world, and you need everybody to come to the office every day, you are limited to hiring people within that city, or maybe like 1 or 2 hours at most around that. Once you are open to hiring remotely, the whole time zone and a couple of time zones to each side opens up. You can work with someone 1,000 kilometers to the north, for example. And that means you can hire the best people, even though they do not live in your city. So that's fantastic. So going back to your question, the whole world realized that that's a possibility, even though many companies are switching back to in office or hybrid models. The concept still lingers on and will keep on lingering on. Specifically in LATAM, 13 years, which is the time we've been operating, is a lot of time in terms of internet penetration, mobile. Back in 2012, mobile was growing rapidly, but still not nearly as widely, as today. So that technology adoption in general, and now lately we are seeing it with ChatGPT and whatnot, of course, makes everyone much more open or friendly towards relying on technology, and relying on technology is key for, again, working remotely. So I think it's all quite interconnected.
Okay, you just mentioned AI. With this change that is coming on, how have you seen the types of people that the companies need to hire, let's say in the past year compared to 5 years ago with this new change of AI?
Well, there's two aspects. So number one is 3 years ago, maybe you would have hired someone to write social media content, your tweets, your Instagram posts, or LinkedIn posts and whatnot. Now, and that person would have certain capacity. That person would be able to produce X amount of contents every day or every week, right? So I think you still need to hire that kind of person, or someone to, but not someone to sit down and write from scratch everything. This is quite obvious, right? Now you do that with ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or Grok. But still, human in the loop is key. A person with oversight or governance over those contents, ensuring tone, ensuring direction, ensuring all sorts of things is key. Now, what happens is that that person now can produce 500 times more content than they could in the past. So either now as a business, you are able to produce more content or produce the same quantity and use that person's time to do something else, something which only a human being can do. And of course, there are still plenty of tasks around that concept where a human being adds value. So that's one change. The kind of profile you need to hire for is not, they need to have more strategic thinking, be better at understanding or asking for context and understanding what's going on, why we're doing the things we're doing, and be able to add value from a creative point of view. And number two, there are new roles. Now businesses are looking for AI engineers or AI implementators, or people who work on connecting tools, your CRM with your social media management tool, with your ticket help desk handling tool, connecting that, automating tasks, and integrating that. So, or someone who works on optimizing your assets and your brand, not for Google, not SEO, but optimizing that for ChatGPT, right? And that's a whole new marketing practice, growth marketing practice arising that we did not talk about 1 year ago. So all these new roles are going to become key for any business to be successful. And once again, they're going to be scarce. And if they're scarce, you cannot afford to hire them just within your city. You're not going to find them. And so once again, remote work becomes key.
Yes, completely, completely. And with that, how have you seen the Latin American market? Because we have amazing people, of course, focused on different types of work. But how have you seen their knowledge in these new AI roles that are changing basically every day?
It's evolving, and it's evolving at quite a good pace. I'm quite active, especially on LinkedIn, both posting things, but also following people, commenting, and then trying to get a grasp of on what's going on. And it's a mirror of what we've seen in Latin America in the last 10 years in terms of startup growth. The unicorns that have appeared, the level of innovation we've seen in LATAM, it's valuable, it's real, it's going to keep on growing. And I think the same happens with specifically around these topics related to AI, both companies leveraging AI to develop innovative new solutions, as well as profiles developing their own skills in terms of AI engineering, integrations, automations, answer engine optimization, and all of that to provide services for businesses, both traditional and the upcoming ones fully on these new technologies.
Of course. Two more questions because we're reaching the limit. So you talked a little bit about the challenges, or two challenges. What other challenges do you see right now in, let's say, the ecosystem of remote work in LATAM? That's the first. And then the second, what other things do you think we need in the market so more people start working remotely or more companies start hiring in Latin America?
All right, fantastic. So the first question, and I'm going to circle back to AI. I think everybody needs to acknowledge AI as a major disruptor, and we are still in the early stages of this disruption. It's like kind of like the internet in the late 90s. Growing rapidly, trying to figure out use cases, some legit companies doing amazing things and some others doing not amazing things. There's lots of noise. I think it's both a leapfrog jump in innovation for humankind, as well as some sort of bubble, just as with the internet. But we need to acknowledge that, make an effort to separate signal from noise. Don't just jump on FOMO wagons and go after trends just because. Circle always back to the basics, and this also ties to your second question. Go back to the basics. Who's your client? What kind of problem are you solving? And what's the best way to solve that problem? And if you ask those questions, I think among many others, remote work is definitely one of the answers. If I have a clearly identified client, I know what kind of value I add to that client, what kind of problems I solve for that client, and I need amazing talent for that, which I can find in Latin America, and they are in a similar time zone, and they are quite qualified and prepared. I need to be able to work remotely with talent in Latin America that will benefit me as a business and therefore my client. So yes, it does involve some challenges in terms of maybe, I don't know, language or culture or the simple fact of working remotely. But the benefits arising from addressing and tackling those challenges are huge. You can hire someone for quite faster than if you limit yourself to your city or state or something like that. And so, the time to market to features or whatever you're developing is going to be better and faster, which means better services. And with AI, all of this becomes more necessary than ever, as well as even faster. So if 3 years ago or 5, we thought things were moving fast, now it's even crazier. So keeping an open mind and embracing the advantages of, in this case, remote work, I think is crucial.
All right, so to finish, the idea is always to answer one question. What advice would you give the companies that want to hire people remotely? Not necessarily in LATAM, of course. We know we have amazing people and the growth potential is huge, but just companies that want to hire people remotely in a different country.
Of course. Context. Always provide all the context you can. The goals, the business goals, the OKRs, the org chart, the role descriptions for everybody working with or around the person you're hiring or team, do not take for granted they will understand things that are specifically or private, to your company. Do actively provide that context, and out of that, with that, you're opening the door for those people to be able to bring their best. It's not nice to have. I think it's a must to provide that context.
Amazing, Alejo. Thank you so much. And
Thank
we
you.
will see
Please.
you in the next episode.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.